Hello friends, welcome back to the channel Connect with Civil.
Design of square isolated footing. Here is a question. Design an isolated footing for a square column 450 mm by 450 mm reinforced with 8 25 mm dia bars and carrying a service load of 2300 kN. Assume soil with a safe bearing capacity of 310 kN per meter square at a depth of 1.5 meter below ground. Assume M20 concrete and Fe415 grade steel for footing and M25 grade concrete and Fe415 grade steel for the column. Let us analyze the given data. Column area is 450 mm by 450 mm. Column reinforcement is 8 numbers of 25 mm dia bars. Service load from column is 2300 kN. Safe bearing capacity of soil is 310 kN per meter square at a depth of 1.5 meter below ground. So the bottom of our footing should be at a level of 1.5 meter below the ground. Footing materials are M20 concrete and Fe415 steel, and column materials are M25 concrete and Fe415 steel. The first step is to find the size of the footing. We have the details like axial load at service condition is equal to 2300 kN and safe bearing capacity of the soil is 310 kN per meter square. And we have the formula base area required is equal to axial load plus weight of the footing plus weight of the backfill whole divided by soil bearing pressure. Since at this point of time we don't have the dimensions of footing, we can't calculate the weight of footing and weight of backfill. So we can consider an extra 10% of axial load to compensate for this. So adding this 10% to the axial load and dividing it by the soil bearing pressure, we will get the area required as 8.16 meters square. Since our column is square in plan, we can consider a square footing and we can calculate the minimum size of footing as root of 8.16, which is equal to 2.86 meter. We can consider an area of 3 meter by 3 meter footing base. The plan shows the dimensions of base area of footing. The next step is to find the thickness of the footing. The thickness of a footing base slab is generally based on considerations of shear and flexure which are critical near the column location. So, we have to check one-way shear, two-way shear and bending moment at critical sections. Generally, shear considerations predominates in the calculation and the thickness is based on shear criteria. The soil pressure which induces moments and shears in the footing base slab are due to the net pressure, that is, excluding the pressure induced by the weight of the footing and backfill. Using gross pressures instead of net pressure will result in needlessly conservative designs. The factored net soil pressure to be considered can be obtained from the factored loads on the column. So, let's proceed with the calculation. We know the axial load at service condition is 2300 kN and load factor at ultimate limit state can be taken as 1.5. We know the base area of the footing is 3 meter by 3 meter. So, net factored soil pressure can be calculated as 2300 into 1.5 divided by 3 by 3. So, we get the value as 0.383 Newton per mm square. The thickness of the footing base slab is most often dictated by the need to check shear stress, and for this reason the design for shear usually precedes the design for flexure. So let's start with the one-way shear. The condition we have to apply here is the factored shear force due to one-way shear should be less than or equal to one-way shear resistance. The factored shear force can be calculated based on the net factored soil pressure due to axial load, which we have found earlier. And the one-way shear resistance is based on the design shear strength of footing concrete. The critical section we have to consider here is as for beam, that is the vertical section at a distance of D, effective depth, from the face of the column. I have mentioned the caudal reference here. Please refer the picture. Here, the red line indicates the critical section in our case, that is at a distance of D from the column face. Let's see how to calculate one-way shear force. We have already calculated factored net soil pressure as 0.383 Newton per mm square. Next comes the area. Please refer the figure. The critical section is marked as red line in the figure, and we can take area on any side of this critical section. But in this case, it is convenient to use the shaded area because if we are considering the other side, we have to take care of the axial load in addition to soil pressure in our calculations. So, area of shaded area is equal to 3000 multiplied by 1275 minus D in millimeters. The factored shear force VU1 at critical section can be calculated by multiplying the factored net soil pressure with the area. So we get the equation as VU1 equal to 0.383 into 3000 into 1275 minus D. Mark this equation as 1. Next step is the calculation of one-way shear resistance. One-way shear resistance at critical section, that is VC1, is equal to design shear strength into area. In order to calculate the design shear strength, tau C, we have to assume percentage of reinforcement PT. Let it be equal to 0.25. From the table 19 of IS 456-2000, for M20 concrete and PT 0.25, we can get the value of tau C as 0.36 Newton per mm square. Next is to calculate the area. See the figure. In this, we have to consider the area of the shaded vertical plane. That is area equal to 3000 into D. This one 3000 into D. So we got the equation VC1 is equal to 0.36 into 3000 into D. Mark this equation as 2. Now we have the equation for shear resistance as well as shear force. The condition we have to consider here is VU1 less than or is equal to VC1. That is, RHS from equation 1 should be less than or equal to RHS from the equation 2. On solving, we will get the value for D as greater than or equal to 658 millimeters. Next is the calculation of two-way shear resistance. Two-way shear resistance at critical section VC2 is equal to permissible shear stress into area. To calculate the value of permissible shear stress, please refer clause number 31.6.3.1. So permissible shear stress is equal to Ks into tau c, whereas Ks equal to 0.5 plus beta c, and the value of Ks should be less than or equal to 1, whereas beta c equal to B by L, where B and length are the L are the column dimensions. So since it is a square column, beta z equal to 1. So Ks equal to 0.5 plus 1, which is greater than 1. So we have to take the value of Ks as 1. And tau c is equal to 0.25 into root FCK. So we get the value of tau c as 1.12. So permissible shear stress Ks tau c is equal to 1.12. Next is the area. In the figure, you can see 4 vertical planes shaded. Area of all these 4 vertical planes together will give you the area to be considered by the two-way shear resistance calculation. So area of one plane will be 450 plus D into D. So for all the 4 planes together, it is 4 into 450 plus D into D. So incorporating these values, we'll get the equation for Vc2 as 1.12 into 4 into 450 plus D into D. Mark this equation as 4. We have got the equation for shear force as well as shear resistance, and we have marked it as 3 and 4 respectively. Now, in order to find the thickness to resist two-way shear, apply the condition shear force should be less than or equal to shear resistance, that is Vu2 less than or equal to Vc2. RHS of equation 3 less than or equal to RHS of equation 4. On solving, we get the value of D as greater than or equal to 621 millimeters. So now let us finalize the thickness of footing. From one-way shear consideration, we got D as greater than or equal to 658 mm. Similarly, from two-way shear consideration, we got the value as greater than or equal to 621 mm. So in this case, D from one-way shear calculation predominates. So effective depth should be greater than or equal to 650 mm. Assuming a clear cover of 75 mm and the bar diameter of footing reinforcement as 16 mm both ways, we can get the thickness of footing as 749 millimeters. So let the thickness be equal to 750 mm. Now from this we can calculate the effective depth. D as 750 minus 75 minus 16, that is 659 mm. So we got the thickness of footing as 750 mm and it is marked in the drawing. Now we have all the dimensions of our footing in hand. So let's check the actual gross pressure. The actual gross soil pressure will be equal to the pressure due to axial load, weight of footing and weight of the backfill all together. For the calculation, assume unit weight of concrete as 24 kN per meter cube and unit weight of soil as 18 kN per meter cube. Refer the figure in which all the dimensions that we have calculated are marked. So, pressure due to axial load can be obtained by dividing the axial load of 2300 kN by the footing area 3 meter by 3 meter. Now, pressure due to weight of the footing can be obtained by multiplying the unit weight of concrete, that is 24 kN per meter cube, by the thickness of the footing. Pressure due to weight of backfill can be obtained by multiplying the unit weight of soil 18 kN per meter cube by depth of backfill, that is 0.75. Addition of all these three components together will give you the actual gross pressure of 287.06 kN per meter square, which is less than our safe bearing capacity of 310 kN per meter square. So, it is safe to use the thickness of 750 mm for our footing for this loading condition.
Part 1 ends here.
Let's go through the steps once again. First step is to find the size of the footing using the formula base area required is equal to axial load plus weight of the footing plus weight of the backfill whole divided by the soil bearing pressure. Next is to find thickness of the footing. Even though fixing of thickness is governed by flexure and shear considerations, generally shear predominates. So, we have to find out the effective depth using the condition shear force less than or equal to shear resistance. Under this, first let us consider the one-way shear, in which critical section is located at a distance of d from the face of the footing. Next, we have to consider the two-way shear, and in this critical section is located at a section of d by 2 along the periphery of the column. So, while applying the condition of shear force should be less than or equal to shear resistance, we can find out the effective depth d. From this, find the total thickness of the footing. The next step is to calculate the actual soil bearing pressure and compare it with the safe bearing capacity of the soil. If the soil pressure is less than the SPZ, we have to go ahead with the thickness we have calculated.
We have calculated the size and thickness of the footing as of now. The remaining design procedure will be explained in part 2.
Thank you.